Hi guys, I'm Darren, and in this video we're going to check out the new offering from our friends down under at MudDART RC. So about a year ago I introduced you to a new product from MudDART RC, and it's called the MudLED. And what it is a little LED controller that you can put in your plane. You don't need a flight controller to control LEDs anymore. You can just put this in, so you can use it on traditional planes with just receivers, as well as you can use it with flight controllers too. And what it allows you to do is set up different sequences and flashes and combine them, and you can have up to 8 different patterns. And you can do some really cool things as well, like Andrew Newton set it up so that in certain switch positions on his Tyrannus, it would do different patterns on the LED. So you could use it like for a vario on your glider, or so when you're going up it's a different color or pattern, and when you're going down it's different. So there's lots of cool stuff you can do. Hamish from MudDART RC has also just put up a post with using iNav programming, which again is just sort of modifying the PWM output channel to change how the patterns on the MudDART show up. So what we have now is an updated version of the MudLED system. So now it's on this. Now with this, I can't actually show you the other side because it is a pre-production, but I've got some photos to show you the other side. And obviously this is now in production and you can order it from MudLED. The way that this has changed is you can now have 4 sets of LED outputs, and you can do things like merging those together in different configurations. There's also a PWM and a power input. So this board runs on 5 volts. If you want to run 12 volt LEDs though, so you have less current draw, you can now use this power pin to supply power just to the LEDs. There is a little jumper on the back which you either solder or desolder, so that power from this pin powers the LEDs, but the power from the receiver powers the actual computer sub part. But yeah, what we'll do, we'll stick it on the bench and we'll have a look. Okay, so here we have the new MudLED from MudDART RC over in New Zealand. So quickly first, I'm just going to show a comparison to the original. So you can see it's a little bit longer, but about the same width. But what you can't see is the chip on the back of this is actually a fair bit bigger. So what we have on here now is an actual ESP32 rather than the ESP8266. So here is a photograph of the production version of the new MudLED. So you can see it's slightly different to what you can see on the bench with my module. The pins have changed, so LED 1 and 2 is on the front now, and 3 and 4 on the back. The config button is slightly different, and the LED positions have been changed. But you can see one of the feedback things I had was the screen printing here was a little bit small, but it's a much better size now. But you can see it's nice and straightforward. It tells you exactly what you need to do. This is the power input if you want to power the LEDs from a higher power level. And now this is the backside, and you can see that it's now using an ESP32, whereas the older one was using a different chip. And I can see from my board that some of the arrangement has been changed slightly. So this is the PWM input. So this is what you would get your receiver signal from. And this would also be the 5 volts to power the ESP32. And then you have LEDs 3 and 4. I believe you can order it with or without the pin headers attached. If you want pin headers on there, I would recommend ordering with the pin headers attached, because they were a little bit of a pain to solder. Obviously it's perfectly doable, but it was a little bit of a pain. And here is the bridge that you can see. The guys mentioned to me you'd want to do that if you want to run 12 volt LEDs. 12 volt LEDs have a smaller amp draw for the same number of LEDs, so you can basically run more without overloading the system. So that is the close-ups. But now what we'll do is take a look at setting it up and a few little practical demonstrations. Okay, so here we have our MudLED unit. Here we have just some LEDs set up. I've just got it plugged into R86 receiver. So I've got a BEC plugged in on channel 6, and I have the MudLED plugged in on channel 5. I've left channels 1 through 4 empty because they're usually used for control. So all I've got is a little BEC, and I'm just going to be plugging it in and out. So this is obviously a D8 receiver. and I'll be using it on my ACCST version 2 Tyrannus. Okay, so first thing, let's go over how to get into the MudLED. So what you want to do is just power it up and then hold down the button, and then the status light will start blinking. So now what we want to do is find our Wi-Fi settings, and we will see a Wi-Fi device or network for MudLED. So we just click on that to connect to it, and then just tap on the name and it will actually sign on to the device. If you need to sign on manually, the IP address is 192.168.4.1. I've already set some stuff up, but what we'll do first is go through the flashing or the update process. So if you click on advanced, what you can do is put in your network and password, and then click check for updates. After a little bit of time, we'll get some update versions. So we're on 0.9.3, so I want to go for 0.9.7. And the reason this works is it's actually can connect to two different Wi-Fi networks at once. So the tablet is just connected to this, but this is also connected to the home network. So we'll select the version and tap update. And basically it will go through an update process. So now the board has rebooted, we should now be updated. So we'll hold down the blue button again, get the flashing LED, refresh our Wi-Fi networks, and we have MudLED. So we'll just connect up and then sign on to the MudLED network. So now if we go advanced, we can see we're now on version 0.9.7. So while we're on this page, you can see here we have the strip configuration. Now this is for the 4 output pins here, and you basically just set how many LEDs there are on each strip. So because I'm only using strip 1, I've set up for 16 because there's 8 on here and there's 8 on here. So let's go back home and we can have a look at how to set this up. So the first thing you'll notice across the top here is we have the PWM input. Now all I've done on the Tyrannus is I've assigned channel 5 to pot S1. That's all I've done, nothing else. And if I turn it, you can see the blue bar on that display moving. What that will do is when it's running, that will give different LED outputs, and you can decrease or increase them just by using that. So now we have 4, and you can go up to 8. And what you can do then is edit each individual mode. So what I've done is on mode 3, I've actually put nothing. So that is off basically. So I have an off position. Right, so let's edit number 2, which is what we're on now. In zone 1, I've got a scanner which is set to red. Actually it's set to rainbow. So I've got it so it changes color. Turn rainbow off, it's just red. But as I was trying to explain earlier, I really like how you can choose which LEDs it runs from. So if I wanted it on less, I can actually click the button here, and you can actually visibly see which LEDs it's running on. So I think that's really cool. So let's set up a second zone. We'll give, you can see we have quite a few different effects here. So let's do a wipe. We'll set that to rainbow as well. And then let's add some LEDs. So we'll start at LED 0. And we'll go up to LED 8. There we go. And you can interact between 2 zones. There's loads and loads of things you can do with this. So just, you know, have a play basically. So if we set this up to a purple color, add some LEDs. This time I'm going to start, I've got to do where it ends first. So I'm going to go to 4 onto here, and I'm going to start at number 4 on there. Obviously you can play with delays and times and durations. So duration is the speed, so it's half that. So you can see there's loads and loads of stuff you can do. And just to back out and go over the PWM thing again, so that's now saved on there. We have position 3, which is nothing, and we have position 1, which is something completely different, and position 2. So there you have it, guys. You can see that this is really configurable, and to be honest, you're better off just having a play with it. But there's absolutely loads you can do. Not only have you got 10 different effects here, it's the way they can interact with different zones. You can, use the same output to mirror on each side of a wing. There's just so much you can do. You've got 16 zones you can set up on each PWM system, and you can interact with different strips. So you can see here we've got strip 1. If I had strips on the other things, you can carry the effect onto those strips. It's a really good configurable system. So just before wrapping up the video, I thought I'd take the time to show you where you can get hold of these and the MudDART website. So this is it, MudDART.nz, and you can actually order the MudLED from these guys, and they do ship internationally now. And they posted up on, I think it was Instagram a day or two ago, saying they got the stock, they're ready to ship out. So go support these guys. They're absolutely fantastic guys. After I recorded the first video, I did get a little bit of feedback saying it's only an ESP32, which actually it wasn't on the first one. But you can do this and program it yourself. But the fact is, not everybody knows how to program. And a lot of people just want something they can plug in and get on with it, to be honest. So this is ideal for those guys. If you just want something you can plug in, have really cool effects with your LEDs, which this video will probably show some demonstrations. As you can see, you can do all sorts, and you can have them so they switch. On this website you'll find a guide to set up and use the MudLED. So this is the images for the old version, but basically how you use it is pretty much the same. You'll also see on the actual module itself there's a QR code which will take you to the guide, so it's nice and easy to find. And if you wanted to go buy it, there you can go, just click buy on their website, add it to your cart, and they'll get one shipped out to you. So I hope you guys found this video entertaining or useful or helpful or whatever. If you're into LEDs, then you probably did. But thank you very much for your time. See you on the next one. Fly your models like you stole them. See ya.